So we are going to style our mannequin. We're going to give her a new look. Usually when they come in a box, they're very plain. They do have a little bit of eyeliner, maybe a shade of eyeshadow and some lips. But just to make her look nicer, and especially if you're going to enter in competition, you want to make sure that she has a good looking face. That way she stands out amongst all the other mannequins that will be laid out on the table as well. So just a few things to keep in mind. When you do start, you want to make sure that her face is clean. You don't want any type of oils or anything like that when you're doing makeup on the mannequin. Now you can use your regular makeup. You can use makeup from the dollar store. I mean, it's for the mannequin. It's not, going to make her break out or anything. So dollar store makeup is okay. If you want to use something like MAC or Clinique, something a bit more expensive, you can. That's not a problem. One thing I would suggest staying away from are any kind of creams that won't dry. Really anything more like a lipstick or maybe like a cream foundation that whenever you do go over it with your hand or anything, that it would smudge or smear off. Something, for example, would be a lipstick. When you put the lipstick on, just like when you put lipstick on, you feel that you have the lipstick on there. It gives you a lot of moisture on your lips. But the bad thing about the mannequins is that it will, if you grab her, if she bumps up against something or your shirt, it will come off. So usually eyeshadow dipped with a little bit of water works just perfect. Another thing that you can do when you are working with eyeshadow and water is just get a little piece of foil or plastic or a little cup or anything of the sort, or a palette, and spray some little bit of water in it, and it will actually allow you to dip your brush in there and then dip your brush into your eyeshadow to get that real nice liquid type of consistency, but it will stay better than the actual lipstick will. Okay, so let's get started. Whenever you're starting with your mannequin, the amount of makeup you use will be up to you and the design that you're going for, the look you're going for. Some people use makeup and some people actually use paint. Paint will definitely stay. Acrylic paint works well. Bad thing about that is that it will chip. Airbrush makeup though I think would be the best because it stays a little bit better than actual the real makeup. Okay. Alright. So we're going to do a little bit of contouring on her, and I'm just going to contour her cheek area just like you would contour a person. Okay, now although she's a mannequin, she still has the same features as a person, so you would still be going through the same movements that you go through with the person. Something that I like to do is at the bottom chin. I usually contour here to give you a nice line. So I would do the same thing with her. Although be careful not to get it on the actual neck. You just want to get under the chin and the jaw area. You do want to add some cheeks. Usually foundation, I don't add foundation just so that she stays a pretty good color all the way through, but you can. Again, I'll be using powder, I would use a cream. Next I'll be doing my cheeks, and with my cheeks I'll be going just over the cheek area. Depending on what look you're going for, you can do heavy or very natural. And your brushes, you do have to wash them after you use them on a mannequin. I know it's not in person, so you're not getting oils mixed from one person to the other, but it's still a mannequin. You still want to keep your brushes sanitized. Next, we're going to go ahead and do eyeshadow. So with eyeshadow, you can use whichever palette you like. This one here, I'm just going to pick the brown series. So I'm going to do a darker brown on the corner. Now you might have to go over, because this is plastic, the plastic isn't going to absorb the makeup as well as like the face would. So you might actually have to go over the eyes or the skin just maybe 2 or 3 times just to darken it up. Okay. And then we'll do a lighter brown, golden color on the inside. And when you're selecting the brush that you're going to use with the technique you're working with, it's always good to use the right size for the size of the lid that you're working with. If you use a really big brush, but the mannequin, maybe his eyes are real deep, so have very little lid showing, you might want to use a smaller brush, maybe something like this. But for her, I'm going to use something of this size. Okay, then I'm going to use a white, and I'm going to go right under the brow, just to give her that slight highlight as if I was doing in person. Alright, so now we're going to do the brows. And with the brows, I want to darken her some, but not too much. I'm going to use a brown. And same as when you're doing person, you want to tap your brush off to get the excess powder off, so that way you don't get much fallout. But since you're working on a plastic surface, you're going to get some anyway. Now, whenever you're practicing your makeup, this is a great way when you don't have a model at home that you can work on. This is a great way for you to actually get in some techniques. Bad thing about it is that her eye is not closed, so you can't really get work on that lid, but it's a great way to practice. Now, removal. Makeup remover will take this off. Sometimes, because it's plastic, it actually stain it a little bit if you leave it on too long. At that point, acetone works marvelous. Word of caution, acetone will take off the pink. For example, the red lips she already has, acetone will take them off and make it the skin color here. If you wanted to take, this is a Chi Brianna mannequin, if you wanted to take that off for whatever reason, then you would use acetone, and acetone would take that off. Acetone does take the eyeball, the whole eyeball area off. So you'll have a blank canvas if you wanted to change the color of the eye. If you wanted actually to have a practice session to where if you took acetone and took the whole eye off and I know there's ridges where the actual eyeball is in, but if you actually ignore that and just practice your technique as if the eye were closed, that's something you can do. You have to ignore the ridges that are there. That is another option. Okay. If you wanted to go a little bit darker with the brows, you can. You can make the brows longer, thinner, thicker, arch them, give them a nice shape. We're going to go ahead and move on to the liner. Now the liner, you can use a liquid liner. And I'm going to go ahead and use a dark color. And line the inside. And if you notice, if you can see, getting a little bit of the fallout, which is okay. We'll fix that here in a little bit. Whatever you do, whenever you're dealing with fallout, you do not want to rub it with your finger. It's the worst thing you can do, because at that point you're pressing that powder or makeup into the skin and smearing it, so now it's as if you were painting it on. So you don't want to do that. Okay, so I do have a lot of fallout, so I will be using a brush. I usually use either one of the two. And I just brush it off. And it comes off very well. These types of brushes, I already used this for the blush, and I don't want pink on there, but usually the bristles that are softer will work a little bit better. You don't, on a mannequin you can blow, but on a person you don't want to blow because, you know, your breath might not smell that great. And clients don't usually want you to do mannequin purposes, you can. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and do the lips. Like I said, I will be taking a little bit of water. Now this particular bottle, it's a little droplet. So I'll be dropping some into my hand. It's a mannequin, so my hands, you know, it's okay. But if it were to be a person, I would definitely use a palette or a piece of oil. And wetting my brush, and now I'm dipping my brush into my palette. You don't want too much water on your brush, just a little bit. And then on the back of my hand, you'll see how it's coloring my skin. So I'm going to go ahead and go in and color the lips. Now her lips are already red, which are the color that I want. I just want to enhance them. You can change the size of the lips and the shape. Now I did only just do one side of the mannequin. Just for the video. Okay. So we're good with eyeshadow, contouring, cheeks, and if you would like to, you can go back and do a little bit of the foundation or just a little bit of powder, but really it's unnecessary. So let's move on to the liquid liner. Okay, so again, dollar store, nothing fancy or expensive. And you just want to come in and just line as if you normally would. You can do the waterline inside and out or on the bottom and the top. You don't have to. That will define the eye a little bit more, so we'll go ahead and do it here. I will be adding lashes to her here in a second. Now the liquid liner does dry pretty good, so that's a makeup that is okay to use on the mannequin because once it dries and I touch it, it's not going to smear. If it would to be like maybe a charcoal pencil liner and it does smear, I probably wouldn't use that. If it is that is all you have to use and you don't have any other type of makeup or paint or so or airbrush, and this, you know, you can use the airbrush. If you don't have that available to you, what you can do when you're done using the creamy type of makeup and such, what you can do is just take a big brush and use setting powder. So setting powder would be perfect to use. Just dab some setting powder, tap off the excess, and just kind of rub circular motions, apply that. And that should help set that and have a layer of powder on top so that way it's not so creamy and easy to wipe off if you accidentally bump it. Okay, so we're going to finish off with the lashes. And again, dollar store. It's mannequins, she's not going to complain. And the reason why I like the dollar store items is because I work with the mannequins so much that I do tend to take the makeup and lashes off and throw them away and do a new look. So, right eye. Okay, with the lashes, I tear them, pull them off. And what I do with the lashes always is, it just has to have the sticky adhesive, so I do go ahead and line it with eyeliner, just so that that glue can get painted. Let that dry for a second. And I have a little jar. I don't have the squeeze glue, so I will use a brush and dip my brush into my glue. And from there, apply it to my lashes. So then I will apply. So if ever you need to use the little jar of glue and you don't want a lash strip, and you don't have the other glue that has a little tip to it, you can apply with the brush. You have to clean your brush immediately or else your brush will get stuck. So then let's go ahead and put our lash on our mannequin. The bad thing about the mannequin is that it's plastic and it will take just a tad bit longer to dry. And it might be a little bit more difficult. There, hold it off with my finger. It might be a little bit more difficult for it to stick, so you just have to be patient. But once you have it on, you're good to go. So there we go. We have our mannequin, and she now has lips, contouring, cheeks, and eyes, including some brows. So I hope you have fun with it, and thanks for watching.